Welcome today. My guest today is Sheila Gale. Sheila is the author of Dottie Flowers and the Skinner Gang, and I have to look to make sure I say it right. And I'll let you hear from her about exactly what Dottie Flowers and the Skinner Gang is all about. Sheila, thank you for welcoming me into your home, and let's get started.
Okay.
Okay. When did you start on your writing journey?
When I was 11, I actually wrote a play about Heidi, and my headmaster encouraged me to perform it in front of the whole school. And I ended up being the director, the producer, the main character. I knew all the words of the whole thing. My cast didn't, and I ended up also being the prompter. It was a complete disaster, but it started me out on my travels, my writing travels, as you know, from an early age. So.
That's really exciting. And that has led you to this story about Dottie Flowers. And can you tell us where this idea came from?
Well, basically, when I retired in 2002, I wanted to write a book. I wanted to start writing full time. I'd been writing, you know, different stories and so on all through my life, and I wanted to get writing more seriously. I never wanted it to be full time, but I wanted to write, 3 hours a day, sort of thing. And anyway, I took different writing courses, took workshops with Brian Henry, and so on. And anyway, my first book was. It was very correct, you know, the sentences were the right length, they were varied, it was grammatically correct, all the things it was supposed to be, but it was very sort of stiff and stilted in its tone. And I kept hearing this expression, find your own voice, you know, you keep hearing this. I had no idea what that meant, actually. And anyway, so one day, these characters popped into my head, and they were fun people. Dottie was from Montreal, English Montreal, divorcee. She had a real estate business in Mississauga. She liked fine wines. I should say likes because she's still around, of course. Likes fine wines, beautiful clothes, the opera. She meets her friend Mabel inadvertently, because what happens is Dottie is in her BMW waiting at the stoplight, and Mabel bumps right into her and of course is all upset, but invites Dottie to come and have some Earl Grey tea back at her house. And Dottie's furious, but when Mabel says, well, when you get to my house, don't worry about that, there's a bike on the driveway, my nephew's trying to sell it, it's a Harley Davidson motorbike. Of course, Dottie, her secret, she just absolutely loves Harley Davidson motorbikes, so she's thinking, ooh, sounds interesting. So off she goes to have tea with Mabel, and of course that's how the friendship began. And basically what happens is they end up getting themselves into all kinds of trouble, murder and mayhem, you know. This particular book is about how somebody is murdered in the casino next to Dottie's machine, and they're chased on motorbikes by these hoodlums, and it goes on and on and on. So it's what is known as a mystery caper, actually, which means that the story is believable. It could happen, but at times it's a bit of a stretch.
And I read on the flyleaf about the person being dying right next to her machine.
Yes,
yes, yeah,
exactly.
that's a very good thing to have on there. And this is the book, and which Sheila has kindly autographed for me, so that is excellent. Well, I think I had a different idea as to who your audience might be when we workshopped this a couple of years ago, and you're telling me today that it's an adult audience,
Yes,
obviously.
yes.
And I was wondering what else you've written, and are there more books in the series, and how far do you intend to go?
Well, first of all, I've written quite a few children's stories at different times for my own children, but I have never done anything with them. I didn't really write seriously until I retired, actually. I've written an article, a travel article, which was published in Interval magazine about 2 years ago, And the nice thing about that was it was a paying job. I was approached to do it, and I got paid to do it, which was very nice, and that was a very positive experience. I've written different business articles different times throughout my career, and I've written quite a few adult short stories as well. I've also been published in 2 anthologies in Hilton Head, where we spend our winters. The Island Writers Network, where I'm a member of the Island Writers Network, and they put out one anthology about 4 or 5 years ago, and they put a second anthology out 2 years ago. And both times one of my pieces of work was accepted, so I've got stories in those. And so as far as my I think you asked me
about Dottie and about this series.
That's where I was going, yes. My plan is to do 5 books in the series. I don't want to get to the stage where I'm writing too many stories about the same people, because I think sometimes authors make that mistake. They go on too long, and however good the earlier books were and however good the current books are, people get a little tired of the same characters, I think, sometimes. So I think 5 is the limit, and so that's my ambition. I've written, the second one is in the process of being edited now, so that's more or less ready to go. And the third one, I'm just in the early stages of the third one.
What's the title of the second one?
Second one is called Dottie Flowers and the European Misadventure. And the third one is called Dottie Flowers and the Ghosts of Savannah. The second one is set in Provence and Tuscany, but the third one is set in Savannah and Hilton Head. So,
well, that takes you back to your home territory.
Yeah,
really,
exactly,
almost,
which is where we spend our winters. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. Tell me about your hopes for the future with your writing. I think you've kind of touched on that a little bit, but I was thinking, what is the least that you want to accomplish? And what's the most?
Well, I think the least really would be my 5 books. I really, I'm hoping that will happen. The most, I think that I would like to change genre altogether after that, and what I have in mind, and I don't want to sort of get into this, I don't mean with you, I mean I don't want to get into it in my head right now, simply because I know if I do, I'll start to lose interest in what I'm writing. Well, what I have in mind is to do a novel set in the early 1900s in Toronto, and possibly have a main character there that maybe carries on for a series too, but I'm not sure about that. But that's what I have in mind, to write something that is entirely, well, I'm not sure. It could end up being mystery, but it could also end up being more of a, family saga. I'm not sure. But that time frame and that setting appeals to me.
The characters will tell you what it's going to be.
Well,
maybe.
yeah, exactly.